subscribe to, who you're subscribed to. Again, this is a segment that I came up with just to talk to people who have subscribed to me, who follow and support me and everything, to let you know who Markane Allen is as a person. I think last time I discussed relationships and things of that nature, and re regrowing from past relationship traumas and pain. I think I talked about all that on the last one. And this one, and during these segments, I'm gonna, talk about the ventures that I do in business and everything. I think the one before that, I talked about how Fight for Your Life came to be. But this one, talk about acting, how I got into acting, why I like acting, and what I think acting should be. I'm eating my after workout meal. Excuse me. I'll be nibbling from time to time. I'll try not to be rude, but acting. I grew up with a TV family. My mom loves watching TV to this day. Still shows, movies here and there, but shows and action shows. Those old school shows, Mod Squad, Dan Tanner, Starsky and Hutch, um, man, just Fall Guy, T.J. Hooker, MacGyver. Grew up watching a lot of those shows. And with my grandfather, grew up watching a lot of westerns. Mom's too. Mom's loves Rifleman, and my grandfather, a lot of westerns, a lot of wrestling. My grandfather was an action. He liked action movies as well. But grew up watching a lot of that stuff. But at night, I would sit and watch TV with my grandfather. It'd just be me and him a lot of times. And we would watch, the Archie Bunkers and the Honeymooners and Jack Benny. And my grandfather one day, he blurted out, we were watching Jack Benny, and he said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Benny." He did an impression. And I remember looking at him like, and I was little, I'm like, oh, wow. And I said, hey, Ethan, what's up, my brother? And I was looking at him like, man, what is that? So then when we watched these old TV shows all the time, he would always do impersonations. We watched Dukes of Hazzard. He'd impersonate, uh, Boss Hogg and Roscoe, and you know, and so I, man, I loved that experience. So, I would mimic voices and everything too with him. We do voices back and forth, impressions, 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 and my grandfather, it just became a thing for him. And quick sidebar story about my grandfather. When my grandfather was in the hospital once, um, the doctor, I was sitting next to him on the hospital bed. The doctor came and told him, he's like, young doctor. He said, yeah, while the family's here, I just want to, let you know that your grandfather only has like 6 weeks to live. And I was like, what? And my grandfather, I was on the phone at that time with my ex-wife, and my grandfather took the phone. He said, "Is that, yes, was that?" He's like, "That's your wife?" I said, "Yeah." He took the phone because she was asking me. I guess he could hear her asking me, "How's your granddad? How's your granddad?" He took the phone and he said, "Yes, this is Dr. McGillicuddy, and Mr. Britton will be just fine. He had a minor uh, influx in his bloodstream, but he will be just fine." This is my grandfather. The man literally seconds ago just got told he got 6 weeks to live, and he did an impression. Took my mind off of what the doctor just said, and he lived 7 years after that. So it's like, you know, and like I said, it's just a sidebar, but like that's the kind of that's how my grandfather was. And so when it came to acting, I grew up watching films and movies, and then I would always see like they should have went this step, or they should. I started studying film and studying like Taxi Driver and Godfathers and those old black and white films, and I started like studying them, and that's how I got into like producing and writing scripts as well. I would always feel like I always wrote like short stories and poetry, but I would always feel like they could have took it a little here with that. I would have wrote it like this, so I would have done it like that. And so I, along with the impressions and then watching certain things and then trying to act out things, or trying to play De Niro. You talking to me? You talking to me? You must be talking to It's like just doing those type of things when you was a kid, or Scarfaces. Just those movies, just those prime movies, and then watching TV every day and seeing how like the Mod Squad or MacGyvers and the superhero shows, how they would act. I started studying that as quiet as it's kept, and that made me say one day I want to get into acting. I don't know if I necessarily wanted to be as a kid that super TV actor, but I knew I wanted to get into acting, and I knew I wanted to write scripts. I knew that as a kid. So one day when I was modeling, somebody said, "Hey man," well, my acting started out in grammar school when I lived in California. They asked me that I want to be in a play, and I was like, "Okay," and I had like two lines, and it was like I stood up and said something, and it was like, and it was like it was whack. It was whack. The historical factor of who the play was about was respectable, but those that was whack. As a kid, it was like it wasn't nothing I had to do that was major, that would stand out. Pardon me, but so I got my bones kind of that way, so to speak. And so I was modeling in high school, and a guy asked me. He said, "Hey man, we doing a little commercial spoof around the corner here. You wanna come do it for us?" He's like, I give you $100. In high school, $100 went a long way. Um, and so went around the corner, and he wanted me to act like uh like a tough guy. And I was like, "What you mean? Like a tough guy? Like, is it a street tough guy? Is it an Italian tough guy? Is it how you want me to do this thing here?" And so he said, "No, man," and that's what I did. I did exactly just that. And he said, man, he's like, "I like that. I like that." He said, do the Italian thing, but like with our people spin on it." And so I said, "So you want me to do a like Italian accent with our lingo?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." So at that time, it was like, yo, what are you doing? You know what I mean? This is what we're doing here. We're gonna go around the corner here. We're gonna handle this business, and after we handle the business, we're gonna go celebrate. You know what I mean? Capiche? And so that little thing right there, he used it for like a music video or something. And after that, I was just like, wow. So done a few commercials, short commercials, short films here and there, and so it was like kind of, moved around a little bit or whatever. But the latest film I did was My House, My Rules, Not Up in Here. And this film was written and produced by a woman named Lisa Adams. And in that film, I played the father of a troubled youth. You can Google this, you can look it up. If you Google my name, Markane Alan, or if you just Google My House, My Rules, Not Up in Here, it should pop up. The film is actually on YouTube for you to check out. So, check it out, support her. But you can see like my latest work. Then I did a short film about struggle and like homelessness and suicide. And then I've worked behind the scenes, written scripts and produced and done some things, just, a few things. But for me, acting, I feel like the actor's job is to make you feel like that character is real, or that character is a real person. If it's a true story about a person, then their job is to bring that person to life on screen. If it's a person, fictional person, a made up person, then their job is to make you feel that that person is real. That's why, like, when you have certain actors and they do certain roles, you get drawn in, and then you want to see them win, or you want to see them succeed, or you want to see them lose, or you want to see them again. It's like you get sunken into that character, and that's good acting. That is good acting, and that's what I feel like an actor's job is to make you, in so many ways, fall in love with that character. You want them to win, you want them to lose, you want them to, get killed, you want them to survive. It's like, and even when it's like a character that's, made up, like Tony Soprano. It's like he was a good, bad, ugly guy. It's like at the same time, it's like, but we all love Tony Soprano. Well, at least most of us did. It's like you love Tony Soprano. He was a good guy. He look out for his guys, and then he does, he does this, but he be down at the bada bing, cheating on Carmela, and but when it came to Melo and AJ, he was there. It was like, so it's just, he had that character, but then he was loyal to his people. He looked out for his mother, then his mother tried to have him whacked. And then or you have a character like Idris Elba, who comes across like, when I do an American film, I try to, totally lock in what the American culture is. And I go on the street and I'm like, yeah, bro, come here for a second. Let me talk to you for 1 second. And you explain to me, the dialect around here, and then we can go from there. You know, and then like when it comes to acting, like studying, just studying and studying. And I've worked with some actors. I've written some things where some actors have, and the production side and the writer side of the whole thing, I had to get used to that because I've worked with some actors who are like, they good at what they do. When they read that script, you meet them one way and they read that script and they turn around and they talk to you. They what you wrote on the paper, and it's like I was like, wow. I said, man, I said that right there, just that impresses me. So I began studying the craft and studying the craft, and being a person, being a creative. It's like I got so many things jumping off in my head all the time. My mind never stopped working. Like right now, I'm thinking of a clothing design for the company, for the brand. And at the same time, I got a poem in my head. At the same time, I'm working on writing another book. At the same time, I'm thinking about exercises for a class I got to cover later this week. And at the same time, I'm thinking of a script back here. I got a painting that floats around in my head. Got a tattoo, another tattoo that it's like, it's just being a creative. It's just always, you never stop. And I have a lot of empathy for creatives out there because it's like I know how it is to not be able to shut the shit down. Where it keep you up at night, and you gotta get you a good notepad or journal or something like that and get the shit out and close it up. And when it's time for you to come back around to it, you come back around to it, put it into action. But don't just let your ideas and your imagination and let it all go to waste. Utilize it. Utilize it. But I have learned to, I really have a strong love for acting and producing and even writing. I love the writing. I mean, you tell me a concept and I will run with it. I got so many, like, I got a little notebook, a little journal that I got scripts in for days, songs for days, poems for days. I got poems that I could put out like 10 more books. I got poems from like when I was a kid, up through high school, up through adulthood. That if I wanted to, I could put a book out like every year. The clothing designs for the brand. It's like I made a joke one time with my kids. I said, if I die, man, y'all got enough clothing designs to run this joint for the next 20 years. It's like and even scripts, got scripts, man, all that. It's like I got the stuff, and it's like but I learned as a creative, that's what I need to do to channel and be able to focus. It's like, put it down, get it out of my head, put it down, get it out of my head, put it down, get it out of my head. But today I discussed acting, why I love acting, why I like acting, what I think acting is, what I think an actor should do. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate the support. I don't know what kind of back and forth battle is going on in the chat here with the different variations of chicken and pizza, or Walmart and Target, or Steven Seagal, or Chuck Norris. So man, uh, Chris Watts, and what is that? Arangala. Either way, I thank y'all for the support. If you interested in any Fight for Your Life apparel, you can DM me at struggle_fight, or you can email me at fightstruggle@gmail.com, fightstruggle@gmail.com. Otherwise, thank y'all for y'all support, and continue to fight for your life. Don't wake up every day approaching life with weakness, saying what you're not and what you cannot be. When you wake up daily, deep breath, pray, meditate, whatever it is you do, take some silent time to let your body come into the world. When your feet hit the ground, go to work. You only get one life. Don't make no excuses for what you think you aren't. When you wake up, fight to be extraordinary. Peace. Fight for your life. Thank y'all.